Hey everyone, it's Jacqueline. I'm going to do something different. I'm actually going to do a quick review of Dune, the new movie. Honestly, I'm right out of the theater right now. So I just got home and I just ate some food. I was starving, but I've been waiting for this film for what, 2, 3 years. As soon as I found out Denis Villeneuve was making this film, after Blade Runner and Arrival's one of my favorite science fiction movies of the past, 10 years, 15 years, easily 20 years, maybe even. I mean, it's in my top 10. Blade Runner 2049, some will hate me for saying this, but I think it added a lot more to that story than the first film did. It I think it could have been a little dirtier, like a little bit messier, a little more grungy. But other than that, I thought 2049 was a phenomenal film. So when I heard he was doing Dune, I had to, read the book. So that's what I did. I read the book and I actually finished it a while ago. And I just finished Dune Messiah, the second book. And I actually just started reading the first one again, just because I wanted to get through it. I really wanted to like absorb the details and find out all the incredibly rich lore. And I like things that commit to something. So whenever someone or something or an idea commits to something fully, I respect it. And it's like I don't know, it's like an impulse that I just respect it and I feel like I can tip my hat to someone, but it has to be authentic. It can't just be, just because other people are doing it or something like that. And Dune is a book that is level 10 nerd. So it's not like, to be honest, I know a lot of people right now, especially because of what the director of Dune said about superhero stuff. I just never really got into the superhero thing. I didn't think it was that deep. I didn't think it was that complex. I thought it was like adult child movies, and it was fine. And I would watch it, I'd be like, man, that was good, but I never found myself lost in the work. Like I never was like fascinated with the depth that it came with. And, Star Wars once had it, and it lost it. It became commercialized, and it lost the tone and the feel and the world of it got lost. Same thing happened to Alien, my favorite movie. I mean, the first three films just have that richness to it, that tone. Even if it was a complex mess in Alien 3, I still felt like they captured the tone of the Alien universe, and that is what is key. It's so anyway, as far as Denis Villeneuve's Dune, that I just saw it and I saw it in IMAX, of course. I'm not going to watch it on HBO. I probably won't. I don't think I'll support it. I'm gonna go see it again next week. Probably during the week, midweek, during the day, so I won't be too busy. But I won't lie, I had these phenomenal seats. I got them, and today's a day early from opening. And I'm not gonna lie, it was the beginning of the movie. Of course, it's getting into the tone of the film, and it's actually very subtle the way it goes in. It's actually very kind of like quiet. It's interesting. So it starts out with this really slow burn, and you know right away that this is something you're going to have patience with. You're going to have um, even some background knowledge. Like, I do feel that this film was made primarily for the lovers of the book. Even though people will start to find it interesting, people that haven't read the book, they'll find it interesting and it'll actually bring them into the book, which is important because there are things that are not in this movie that are in the book. And even the director said that there's a 4 hour cut of it, and that I hope he releases it because that would be amazing. Because there are definitely scenes where I felt like they had to specifically cut things out. And I think that was because it's an incredibly long film. It's incredibly complex. It is, I mean, I was thinking Lord of the Rings. I saw Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring, I think like 8 or 9 times in the theater when I was young. I was so into Lord of the Rings when I was young that I kind of like burnt myself out of it. And the books, of course, as well. But, I just loved those films. But it's a different type of film. There's a lot of charming, sort of effortless stuff to it. The music is very fantasy based. This Dune is a brutal gothic science fiction. That's the only way I can describe it. It is not kind. There is very little kindness. There's very little like charm to it. You can see just a little bit of it in times where it's needed, but in general, this is a very cold, stark universe that I love. I absolutely love that. That's why I fell in love with the book. I found it fascinating, the depth. The actress did an amazing job. Rebecca Ferguson, I fell in love with her when she did. It was Doctor Sleep. I didn't really like the movie that much, but I fell in love with her character, Rose the Hat. And in this movie, I actually think she did a wonderful performance. I think it was very powerful. There was a lot of mystery to it. There was a lot of, and the other characters, Paul Timothy Chalamet. I just think he's so hot. But I wasn't thinking that while watching this movie, which was interesting. In real life, I just think he's so incredibly cute and attractive. But while watching this film, I actually felt like I was going along with him on this mind expanding journey. I felt like I was because he has a lot of changes. It's a coming growing up sort of film, and I actually found myself feeling a lot of what he was feeling. And this movie doesn't spoon feed you. It's very little. It is actually the opposite of spoon feeding, which I love because film has come to the point where, like with superhero movies, I keep going back to that, where they spoon feed you every detail. In this film, there are things that are in the book, that are in the film, that are not discussed. They are very much like alluded to, or even just kind of like they show you something, but they don't tell you, and it makes the audience feel like they're a part of it because they feel intelligent. It's a beautiful thing. I There was only one thing that I wish that the film could have had more of, um, and it's not a bad thing because the film is incredibly long, and it is very slow. So there's only so they want to keep it rich without boring the audience to death, and this movie will bore people to death. There are groups of people, because we've ingrained in our society entertainment to be massive superhero fights with, like, all sorts of crap going on screen, and just fights that go on for 10 minutes with no character development, really. They're just happening. It's just mindless entertainment. This doesn't necessarily have that. Um this is very much like a thought-provoking sort of depth, and you're going to sit down and have to let it just wash over you. I absolutely love it, and I love the filmmaker, the director, and all the people involved for not insulting my intelligence, for trusting in me as a viewer to believe their work, to look at it and say, they don't have to spoon feed you. They don't need to tell you what's going on. Everything about it was fantastic. I thought it was wonderful. My favorite character, of course, just because he is just so good. The Baron Harkonnen, played by Stellan Skarsgård. I mean, he's a phenomenal actor. Actually, the first time I really had a moment with him where I was in a film where I was creeped out was A Girl with a Dragon Tattoo, the David Fincher version, which I think is the better version, but whatever. His character in that film was so creepy, and this film he brings it's a different type of creepiness. It's such a calm, cold, slowly methodical sort of personality, and it is phenomenal. I There's even a part, and I'm not going to do spoilers, so this is all very vague and, kind of just brushing over things. But there's a point where we'll just say that and it's where they don't even like bring the Baron into focus, and he's kind of out of focus, and it is one of the most intimidating background images I've ever seen. Like, it is so formidable. It is so good. I can't wait to see it again. And of course, the special effects are incredible. The world is very real. It doesn't have all the bright colors and all these things. It feels like a real place. Oh, and I was gonna say, I wish that we had more time to stew in the environments. Caladan, I felt like it was so beautiful. For some reason, I feel like they shot it in Greenland or Iceland or something like that. But it is so beautiful. I wish we could have stayed there longer. And when you get to Arrakis, I mean, Arrakis is. I actually teared up in the theater when they arrive. It is the song that they have by Hans Zimmer, called House Atreides, is phenomenal, and it is got bagpipes, which is just the most random thing. But I just felt like that song is incredibly powerful and beautiful, and when they get to Arrakis, it's just so it's such a beautiful the Atreides theme is beautiful, and it's my favorite theme out of the film. And then you have the Harkonnens, which I call, I guess I'll call them Harkonnens now because that's what in the film they call them. As a Harkonnen is what I've always called them, but Harkonnen is the way it's the villains in the film, and they are on Gedi Prime. And I wish we could have seen more of Gedi Prime. Gedi Prime looked cold and miserable, and just it looked wonderful. I wish it was a little bit more evil looking, a little bit more organic as well, like less a biomechanical, more Giger-esque. I kind of was hoping that they would have channeled some of that. They did a little bit on the interiors, but not on the exteriors. But yeah, there's the ornithopters, the flying vessels that they use. I mean, they were just so well designed. It is a fantastic film. I think it's gonna do wonderful. I think people are gonna love it, and I think it's going to inspire people that are not level 10 nerd to be like more invested in books and deep lore. And I think people have been craving that because we've been missing it for a while. We've just had sequels and prequels, and now we have multiverses, and we've got all of this stuff now. And I just felt like we haven't had a grand science fiction or fantasy film in 20 years. It's like large scale, massive. Like I wouldn't call 2049 massive. I wouldn't call Arrival massive. I can't really even think of any science fictions that are like massive scale films like this film, and the scale is huge. I mean, everybody keeps talking about that, but there's a few shots where in this film where I was just kind of like, holy shit. I mean, there's just it's incredible. Anyway, so I loved it. I wish we could have spent more time on the different planets and got to really absorb the environment and the setup, quietness, but they had to get the movie going. So that's my review. Obviously, it's positive. If you're gonna watch it, get your ass to the theater. Don't watch it on television. I mean, I just feel like it's wrong. I'm like, and people, I don't understand the streaming thing. I don't get it. I will spend a fortune going to see a movie. I'm going to go see it again next week in IMAX. I'm going to go back. I'm going to let myself, really stew with all the information after watching it, and then I'll watch it again. Anyway, I hope everyone's well. That's an interesting update that has nothing to do with my usual stuff, but I thought people would find it interesting. I hope everyone has a great day.